After my sister ran away from home, her whereabouts unknown, because I refused to donate bone marrow, my husband sealed me in a coffin and threw me into the sea to be buried with her. It wasn't that I refused to save her, I just asked to wait even half a month, until my child was born. But they said children can be born again, but my sister only has one life. Yes, my child's life wasn't a life. I had a hysterectomy due to severe bleeding, and can no longer conceive. After the surgery, seeing Lu Yuan, all my grievances turned into tears. But he said, "Now there are no more worries. I'll give you 10 days to recover, and then we'll do the bone marrow transplant immediately." As you wished, I went. But why are you crying now? I smelled the stench of my own rotting body. So the soul has senses after death. The coffin was carried back to shore by the waves, half buried in the sand. I looked into the coffin. My dead legs were stiff, and my arms were still in the motion of trying to push open the coffin lid. My face was extremely distorted, bloated and deformed by the seawater, unrecognizable from how it looked in life. Today is my 7th day. 7 days ago, Lu Yuan ordered people to lock me in this coffin. Lu Yuan, are you crazy? I'm your wife. I shouted and struggled, but his 2 subordinates still forced me into the coffin. Lu Yuan, wake up. Do you know what you're doing? This is murder. Ali rushed up to save me. Although he was Lu Yuan's subordinate, they had grown up together since they were teenagers. They were more like brothers. Ali always called Lu Yuan by his name, instead of President Lu. I warn you, if you say another word, I'll seal you in this coffin too. He ordered people to tie up Ali and threw him into the corner like a sack of rotten meat. I desperately tried to climb out of the coffin. I have claustrophobia. Lu Yuan knows that locking me in this coffin is tantamount to taking my life. Lu Yuan picked up a hammer and smashed it down on my fingers that were clinging to the edge of the coffin. Instantly, 2 of my finger joints broke, and a piercing pain surged through me. I curled up in a ball in the coffin. The coffin lid was closed, and I heard the sound of hammering nails. I closed my eyes in despair. Outside the coffin, I heard Ali screaming desperately. Lu Yuan, you're not human. You're a beast. A dog. A dung beetle. I lost all sense of time. An overwhelming fear enveloped me. I kicked with my feet and pushed with my hands, trying to open the coffin lid. But the space was too small to exert any force. I shouted for help and desperately clawed at the coffin lid with my fingernails. Blood dripped drop by drop onto my face and body. I couldn't even feel the pain of my fingernails falling off anymore. President Lu, what do we do with the coffin containing Madam? Leave a few air holes on the side, then transport the coffin to that abandoned house of mine by the sea. Do it late at night. Also, from now on, all the brothers put down what they're doing and focus on searching the coast for Miss. Search the shore, hire boats, hire divers, search the sea. Lu Yuan took out a photo from his chest. It was a picture of my sister, Nua. A few days ago, when Nua committed suicide by jumping into the sea. After that, Lu Yuan vented all his resentment and sadness on me. Because my sister left a suicide note saying that she no longer had the courage to live, because I was unwilling to give her a bone marrow transplant. When Lu Yuan heard that my sister had committed suicide, he was heartbroken and furious, so he locked me in a coffin. He said that he would release me from the coffin when he found my sister's body. If my sister disappeared into the sea just like that, he would take my life to be buried with her. 3 days passed, and I no longer had the strength to do anything except breathe. Lu Yuan's men would come from time to see if I was dead. From their mouths, I learned that Lu Yuan was constantly concerned about whether my sister had been salvaged, and never cared about my life or death. The pain in my heart seemed to have surpassed the pain in my body. What did I do wrong for him to treat me like this? Ran is my twin sister, and she has been frail and sickly since childhood. A month ago, she was diagnosed with leukemia, and a bone marrow transplant was the only possible cure. The family has already been tested for compatibility, and I happen to be a match. My sister saw a glimmer of hope, but at that time, I was already 7 months pregnant. If I underwent a bone marrow transplant, it would harm my child. It's not that I was unwilling to save her, but I asked if we could wait even just half a month longer. as my child would have little chance of survival if born prematurely. That day my sister and parents came to my door together. Ran, she's your own sister. Are you trying to kill us by refusing to save her? My mother's tone was accusatory from the start. I never said I wouldn't save my sister. The doctor said that my sister can be maintained with medication and is in no immediate danger for a year, while my child only needs to stay in my womb for another month to be safe enough. Why must I be sacrificed when it's something that can be managed simultaneously? Mom, I feel so bad. When Ran suddenly leaned on my mother's shoulder and began to moan. She's always been like this. If I got first place in an exam, she would tell Mom that she was useless because she was always asking for leave due to her poor health, which caused her grades to suffer. Then Mom would scold me, asking why I had to show off at home about getting first place, making my sister sad. I was born fair-skinned and pretty, while when Ran's complexion was sallow because she was always taking medication. Mom and Dad would deliberately make me do all kinds of housework outside in the scorching summer to make me get tanned, while they bought all kinds of skincare products for my sister, and I got nothing. When Ran needed care because she was sick but I hadn't done anything wrong. I was also willing to love my sick sister. But although my sister was weak, she had been arrogant since childhood, and always pretended to be gentle and weak in front of my parents, blaming me for everything bad she did. There's no need to discuss this. When Ran, we'll go to the hospital tomorrow to induce labor. Lu Yuan suddenly spoke. I couldn't believe my ears. Was this coming from my husband? Lu Yuan, I know my sister was your first love, but I'm the one who has been by your side all these years. The child in my belly is your flesh and blood. Ran, don't talk nonsense. When Ran said a sentence and started coughing weakly again. There's no room for discussion. If you don't agree to give birth prematurely, I won't acknowledge this child when it's born. Lu Yuan's tone was as cold as ice. Mom, Dad, do you also think that only my sister is the most important? I asked with tears in my eyes. You're really being inconsiderate. Why are you asking such a question at this time? You're just having a baby. If this one's gone, you can have another one. Besides, it's just a premature birth. It doesn't necessarily mean anything will happen. But your sister will lose her life, do you understand? I didn't want to hear another word. I didn't want to stay in this house any longer. I stood up and said, I never received your love when I was growing up. I turned to Lu Yuan. As for you, Lu Yuan, I gave everything. I thought my investment and devotion would be rewarded with some genuine affection. I didn't expect that I was destined to be the one abandoned first. I rushed out of the house and walked aimlessly down the street. Lu Yuan, you should go out and check on Ran, when Ran said hypocritically. If none of you are going, I'll go. When Ran had just stood up when she fainted. When Ran. Lu Yuan picked up when Ran, and the whole family hurried to the hospital. At this time, I was crossing the road in a daze when a speeding truck headed straight for me. Blood flowed from my lower body. The child was prematurely delivered by cesarean section. It was a boy, but it was already dead at birth due to oxygen deprivation in the womb. And because of the massive hemorrhage, my uterus was removed, and I could no longer have children. After the surgery, I opened my eyes and saw Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan, seeing him, all my grievances turned into tears. Now there are no more worries. I'll give you 10 days to recover, and then you'll immediately undergo the bone marrow transplant surgery. Without my signature, none of you will be able to force me. At that moment, my heart was as cold as ashes. I didn't want to care about anyone anymore. Since no one cared about me from now on, I would no longer have emotions, no more family affection, no more love. I only sought to take care of myself and live in this world. Before I was discharged from the hospital, the news came that when Ran had committed suicide by jumping into the sea. That day Mom and Dad and Lu Yuan rushed into my ward together. After such major surgery, no one had come to take care of me for days. But as soon as when Ran's suicide happened, they all came to question me. Completely disregarding how haggard I looked on the hospital bed, and how I even had difficulty sitting up on my own. Lu Yuan slammed a piece of paper hard on my face. Take a look. See what you've done. It was when Ran's suicide note. It read, I already know that my death is near. Since when Ran is unwilling to save me, why should I endure the torment of illness? It's better to die decently now. Let the sea bury me. When Ran's death almost killed Lu Yuan, he was distraught for days. Then, on the day I was discharged from the hospital, he placed me under house arrest. He said, the sea must be dark and cold. When Ran must be afraid, you go keep her company. You can slowly reflect in this dark coffin. Alai's admiration for me I knew. But Alai was measured. But I was sensitive. Alai's feelings were subtle but fervent. The day I was to be locked in a coffin, Alai would have desperately tried to stop it. Lu Yuan had no choice but to imprison Alai along with me. On the third day I was sealed in the coffin, Alai escaped. He searched for me everywhere like a madman but couldn't find me. That day he stormed into Lu Yuan's office and held a dagger to his throat. Lu Yuan, you gave me my life. You can take it any time, I'll give it to you. I can do anything for you, I owe you that. I used to live worse than a dog. You gave me a home, a respectable job, and the ability to support my sister. But only when Ran is off limits. I've never had any improper thoughts about her. I just want to protect her. I can't bear to see her suffer even a little. Alai's hand was shaking. He was more nervous than Lu Yuan. As if the knife was at his own throat instead of Lu Yuan's. Alai, what you don't know is that I'm already dead. My soul has been by Lu Yuan's side, watching him rush around looking for my sister's body, without ever asking if I was safe and sound in the coffin. I was so foolish before. Why couldn't I see the people who truly cared about me, who were good to me, and instead was so infatuated with this idiot? If I could start over, Alai, if you don't have the courage to say it, I do. I'll take the initiative. I'm willing to give up everything and elope with you. Alai, you've always been stupid, you know? You think you hid your feelings for when Ran well? I've known your feelings all along. From the day I locked you up, I've been preparing for this day. Tell me where she is. I just want to know where she is. Alai's hand tightened on the knife, a trace of blood appearing on Lu Yuan's neck. What about your sister? Do you still want her? Lu Yuan revealed a sinister smile. Xiaorou? What have you done to her? Nothing, she's doing very well. But if you continue to be so obsessed, I can't guarantee what will happen to Xiaorou. Alai dropped the knife to the ground and knelt down stiffly. I woke up in the darkness, my lips were cracked, my fingers showed bones. I didn't know if I was dead or alive. Until I heard a few people talking. Should we open the coffin first and see if she's dead or alive? If she's already dead, it's pointless to throw her into the sea. We take people's money and do what they tell us. Hurry up, load it on the boat, and head out to sea before dawn. Then I felt the coffin swaying. I was being lifted up. After that came the sound of the motorboat, toot toot. A dozen minutes later, the coffin was lifted into the air and dropped into the sea with a splash. I could feel my body sinking. Then seawater poured in from all directions through the cracks in the coffin. My dry body was finally moistened by the seawater, but immediately came the inability to breathe. In just 2 minutes, I died in the sea. I thought I would eventually starve to death in this coffin. But I never expected that I would be buried in the cold sea. Why did Wen Nuo's method of death ultimately fall on me? I watched helplessly as the coffin continued to sink to the bottom of the sea, while I floated upwards. With a swoosh, I arrived beside Lu Yuan. I reached out to touch my body. I watched my hand pass right through it. I was really dead. In the office, Lu Yuan hadn't slept for days. He was still holding Wen Nuo's photo, talking to himself. Nua, it's all my fault. If only I had protected you. You wouldn't have been forced to leave and go far away by Wen Ran. We wouldn't have been separated in the end. I thought all the women in this world were as kind as you. I thought your own sister would have traces of you. But no one can replace your position in my heart. If it weren't for you, I would have been buried in that heavy snow long ago. If it weren't for you, I would have been stupid enough to think the child in Wen Ran's belly was mine. No. Wen Nuo is lying. I shouted desperately, but couldn't make a sound. I wanted to break the things in the room to attract Lu Yuan's attention, but my hand passed through everything. I couldn't prove my innocence when I was alive, and I'm even more powerless after I die. The past me, watching Lu Yuan's deep affection for my sister, I was moved by such a devoted man. But my sister, because Lu Yuan's business was slow to improve, was unwilling to live a life of poverty with him. So she left without saying goodbye. After my sister left, I stayed by Lu Yuan's side, soothing the pain of her departure, and encouraging him to start over in business. I accompanied him in meticulous operations, even drinking until I had a stomach hemorrhage for his business entertainment. Finally, Lu Yuan was moved by my sincerity, and we got together. There were sweet moments too. He loved to stroke my head and call me little Ran Ran. Just on the day of our wedding, my sister came back. At the wedding, she called Lu Yuan aside and spoke for a long time. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I saw her cry, and Lu Yuan hugged her. The wedding continued, but the way Lu Yuan looked at me changed. When the ceremony ended and we walked off the stage, the hand he held became cold. After the wedding, he always met with Wenhua secretly. One was my lover, one was my own sister. I didn't want to think too much. But Lu Yuan's increasingly cold attitude towards me was right in front of me. My thoughts drifted far away. Really, what's the use of a dead person thinking so much? But what I never expected was that I was the only one who died. Wenhua wasn't dead at all. For some reason, my soul was tied to Lu Yuan's side. I clearly wanted to escape, but I had no choice but to watch everything about this person who made me sad. In the early morning, Lu Yuan was drowning his sorrows with alcohol in the office. He hadn't gone home to sleep for several nights. Suddenly, a long-haired figure appeared outside the transparent door. Lu Yuan only felt a chill, slapped himself to make sure he wasn't dreaming. Is that you? Wenhua? You're back. Lu Yuan turned on the light, Wenhua's face gradually becoming clear. Yuan, I thought I would never see you again. Wenhua slipped into Lu Yuan's arms like an eel, sobbing. Where have you been all these days? You left a suicide note, I thought. Yuan, I really didn't want to live anymore. That day I walked step by step into the cold sea. I thought I was going to die. But I don't know how long passed. I woke up from a coma. I found myself on a fishing boat. I don't know if I'm lucky or unlucky. I couldn't even die. Thank God you're back to me again. This time I will definitely cherish you. I won't let you go again. But what about Wenran? She's your wife. It wasn't until this moment that Lu Yuan might have remembered that I was still locked in the coffin. Wenran, it doesn't matter. I'll find a way to make her accept it. Moreover, I will definitely make her donate bone marrow to you. I'm thinking of a way to teach her a lesson. She'll agree soon. Wenhua revealed a sinister smile in Lu Yuan's arms. Indeed, she will not be back. Lu Yuan scooped up Wenhua in a princess carry, gently brushing her hair aside. Then he softly lowered his head to kiss her. He kissed her as he walked, slowly placing her on the sofa in the office. How much I wanted to escape, how much I wanted to close my eyes and not see. But why couldn't I escape even in death? My soul seemed to be nailed in place, forced to watch my own sister and my husband betray me. Lu Yuan's hands roamed over Wenhua's body, and Wenhua cooperated with light kisses. Wenhua, I remember you were wearing this dress the day you disappeared, right? I love this white dress of yours the most. Yes, you really care about me. You even remember what clothes I wear. Lu Yuan suddenly froze, as if he had remembered something. He vigorously sniffed Wenhua's chest, then stopped his movements. Nua, why don't you just rest in my office tonight? I'll take you to the hospital for a checkup first thing tomorrow morning. I won't be at ease until I've ruled everything out. Then you. Wenhua didn't understand, having already gotten to this point, why Lu Yuan wasn't continuing with her. Lu Yuan hosted a rebirth banquet for Wenhua. Of course he had to consider his reputation. After all, I was still his wife in name. So only the two of them, my parents, and a few trusted confidants attended this banquet. That night, Wenhua actually wore a wedding dress, meticulously dressed up, looking nothing like someone suffering from a serious illness. At that moment I felt utter grief. Was this your wedding? How did it seem more like my funeral? During the banquet, Lu Yuan received a call from one of his subordinates. Boss, when we went to check on Madam as usual today, we found that the coffin was gone. What? Lu Yuan shouted and stood up. Everyone at the table stared wide-eyed. looking at him in surprise. Ah, it's nothing, you guys eat first, I'll go handle something. Explain in detail what happened. Lu Yuan walked to a corner and asked in a low voice. Boss, we went to see the coffin yesterday. We knocked on the coffin and could only hear Madam's faint breathing. We followed your instructions. As long as we confirmed she was alive, we didn't open the coffin. But when we went to check again tonight, we found that the coffin was gone. We searched the surrounding area, but it wasn't there. Lu Yuan's forehead was a little sweaty. I didn't know if he was afraid or worried about me. Such a big coffin. And someone stole it. I've never heard of anyone stealing coffins. Expand the search area, and keep looking for me. Lu Yuan returned to the banquet scene without betraying any emotions. Nua Nua, Mom is so happy that you're back. Yeah, Nua Nua, you are Mom and Dad's most precious daughter. If you had really left, Mom and I wouldn't want to live anymore. I never understood. Both my sister and I were Mom and Dad's children, but if something happened between my sister and I was always the one who was sacrificed. Lu Yuan. Ah, that was a familiar voice. It was my best friend Xiao Dai. The only person in this world who truly cared about me. Where have you taken Ran Ran? I haven't been able to contact her for days. She just lost your child, and may never be able to be a mother again. And you're only concerned about finding your Wen Nua. That bitch. Do you even have a heart? Xiao Dai, when Ran is fine, she's safe. I didn't invite you, please leave. Lu Yuan said calmly. Still want to eat? Eat my ass. Xiao Dai rushed over and flipped the entire table of food onto the floor. If I had half of Xiao Dai's backbone, perhaps I wouldn't have been bullied and let down all my life. Lu Yuan, either you tell me where Wen Ran is right now, or you come out with me to find her immediately. You can't do anything else until you find her. Xiao Dai stepped forward and grabbed Lu Yuan's shirt collar. Xiao Dai was short, but Lu Yuan was 5'11". Xiao Dai planted her feet and pulled Lu Yuan with all her might, like dragging a bull. Xiao Dai, you and Wen Ran are good friends. We appreciate you worrying about her. But today is Wen Nua's first day back. We're having a family reunion. Your family reunion. Your family reunion. Xiao Dai let go of Lu Yuan, turned and walked towards my mother. Auntie, I'll still call you Auntie. I want to ask you, when have you ever treated Wen Ran like a daughter? Do you know what she likes to eat? Do you know that her skin gets allergies every autumn? Do you know that she was in a car accident in college and almost died? Of course you wouldn't know, because it was me, her good friend, who took care of her in the hospital for a month. I even signed the surgery consent. At the time, she was already in a semi-conscious state, but used her last bit of willpower to call you. But you clearly heard her say she was in a car accident, but you didn't even ask if it was serious. You only said, "Sister is in the hospital again," and hung up the phone. If ghosts could die a second time, I think I would have died of sadness right there and then. Over the years, I chose to forget these painful memories. I didn't think about them as if they had never happened. But today, Xiao Dai took them out one by one, and I felt like my heart was breaking into pieces. What's happening in our family is none of your business. Wen Ran cares most about her sister. She knows her sister is not well, and would never compete with her for attention. My mother knew she was in the wrong, and was a little ashamed, but she was still unwilling to admit it. Just because her sister is not well, does Wen Ran deserve to die? Just because Wen Nua is not well, does Wen Ran have to spend her whole life making up for it? What did Wen Ran do wrong? You are her closest family in this world. But it is you who have shown her the ugliness and disgust of this world. And you, Lu Yuan, do you know that for Wen Ran, you are like a lamp in the darkness, like someone who is about to starve to death because they haven't eaten for a long time, suddenly getting an ordinary rice ball. Although it's not that precious, she treasures it. She really gave you her whole heart. Xiao Dai's words reminded Lu Yuan of the missing coffin again. In fact, his heart was a mess at that moment. I'll go with you. Lu Yuan's words stunned everyone, including Xiao Dai. Then let's go. Amidst Wen Nua's rehashed crying and fainting act, Lu Yuan and Xiao Dai left the banquet hall without looking back. Lu Yuan couldn't see the road, nor any scenery. All was pitch black beneath his feet, and pitch black in the distance. He could only tentatively move forward step by step, filled with terror. Suddenly, a small child appeared before him, frantically climbing onto his legs, calling, "Daddy, Daddy!" Lu Yuan was so frightened he ran forward madly, running and running, until the little boy disappeared into the darkness. He felt something suddenly trip him, and his entire body lost balance, flying outwards. He raised his head in a panic, and the person before him was me. I stood before him, soaking wet, my hair disheveled, blood dripping from my 10 fingertips. "Lu Yuan, the water's so cold. Lu Yuan, the water's so cold." Ah! Lu Yuan woke up with a start. It was all a dream. He looked at the clock. It was exactly 1 o'clock at night. He and Xiao Dai had been searching for me at the beach, only returning home close to 12. He had just laid down when he had this dream. He had already told Xiao Dai everything, and she was almost driven mad on the spot. "Lu Yuan, do you know you're a murderer? You're a murderer." Lu Yuan called Xiao Dai. "I just had a dream. When Ran was covered in water. She must be in the sea." At the same time, a news report was airing on TV, stating that a coffin had suddenly appeared on the shore, presumed to have been thrown into the sea and carried back by the tide. The police had arrived at the scene to open the coffin. Inside was a female corpse, initially determined to be around 26 years old. Quick to the beach. Lu Yuan and Xiao Dai arrived at the scene at the same time. And so did Lai. I was lying face up, already in the coffin. Police tape had been set up around the perimeter. "Are you a family member of the victim?" "Yes, I'm her husband." Lu Yuan's gaze was blank, as if his soul had been sucked away. "Take a look, confirm if it's your wife." Lu Yuan seemed to be under a spell, unable to move. "You don't deserve to see her one last time." Lai kicked Lu Yuan in the knee, and Lu Yuan immediately knelt down on the ground, facing the coffin. He moved forward on his knees step by step, until he reached the coffin. My face appeared before him. After several days of soaking in seawater, my face was swollen and deformed, and the color was purple and blue. My body was extremely contorted, twisted into a strange position, because of the desperate struggles before death. The lid of the coffin was covered in scratch marks from my fingernails. How much pain, how much despair she must have been in. Lu Yuan wept bitterly for me for the first time. I really didn't think she would die, didn't think. I was sent to the funeral home, the police and onlookers dispersed. And Lu Yuan was still alone on the beach where I was found. He was like a madman, muttering to himself, letting the rising tide crash against him. "I didn't think you would die. I clearly left ventilation holes in the coffin, and had people deliver water to you every day. How could this happen? I just wanted you to soften a little. To donate bone marrow to Wenhua. Wenhua said that you were the one who forced him away back then, which is why we were separated. Wenhua said that you had been speaking ill of her to our parents, putting poison in her food and drink, which is why her body was getting weaker and weaker. Wenhua said that the child in your belly was Eli's. When Ran, wake up. Can you come and tell me what's real? What's fake? I'll tell you what's real, and what's fake." Xiao Dai suddenly appeared behind him. She used all her strength to drag Lu Yuan towards the shore, otherwise in 10 more minutes, the sea would have swallowed him up. "You bastard, you can't die so easily. I want you to experience the same pain as when Ran. I want you to live worse than death." Lu Yuan was saved. He lay on the beach like a puddle of mud. "Take a look for yourself." Xiao Dai threw a diary in front of Lu Yuan. It was the writing I had recorded since I became pregnant. Today I felt the baby move for the first time. I told Lu Yuan, but he just replied with a "It's okay, baby. When you're born safely, Daddy will definitely love you, right? I had a dream today. I dreamt that the baby in my belly was a beautiful little girl. Her eyes curved when she smiled, like Lu Yuan's." Lu Yuan read my diary word by word. Gradually his crying drowned out his reading. He cried uncontrollably. "Also, when you went skiing, you got lost in the forest. Wenhua only cared about his own safety back then, and went back to the camp himself. It was when Ran who heard that you were missing and went to find you. She was so thin and small, but she actually carried you back to the camp. Afterwards, she was sent to the hospital, and was unconscious for 2 days and 2 nights. And during this time, Wenhua stayed by your side to take care of you. telling you that she was the one who saved you. Also, when your business was not improving, when Nua didn't want to live a hard life with you at all. So she chose to leave. Later, when Ran stayed with you, and the business got better and better, she only came back to find you when she heard the news. And when Nua's suicide, it was just a show she wrote and directed herself. She never tried to commit suicide. That day I hugged her, and she said the clothes were the ones she wore the day she jumped into the sea. But there wasn't a trace of the salty smell of the sea on them. I was suspicious at the time. I was so stupid. Lu Yuan, you deserve to die, but not now. You still have to avenge when Ran. If you weren't lying, then who threw the coffin into the sea? A lie also arrived. It was when Nua. From the moment the coffin disappeared, I was looking for it. In order to investigate this matter. It was when Nua who did it. This is hiring someone to commit murder. A lie had been in society for a long time, and knew people on both sides of the law. In the past few days, he had investigated when Nua thoroughly. Even more shocking was that, in the year she disappeared, when Nua had actually found a rich man, and this man had helped her with a bone marrow transplant. Her illness had been cured. At least it wouldn't relapse for 20 years. This time she returned, only to use the name of bone marrow transplantation to snatch Lu Yuan back. These past few days, Lu Yuan had been sorting through my belongings at home, crying as he sorted, muttering to himself, "I am guilty," and occasionally reaching out to slap himself in the face. I watched all of this blankly, without a trace of emotion, let alone a trace of pity. Now that I am dead, you realize your love and guilt for me. What's the point? I just want to end all of this as soon as possible, to let my soul leave you, to let me be reborn, to let me see the child I lost prematurely. When Nua, everything is in the past. Will you accompany me to the beach once? A Yuan, I thought you blamed me for when Rant's death, and would never see me again. We'll go to the beach tomorrow, let's forget all of this. When Nua saw the rope in Lu Yuan's hand, it was already too late. Lu Yuan tied up Nua and took her onto the speedboat. The sea wind became more and more urgent with the speed of the speedboat. When Nua panicked, she knew that she was getting closer and closer to death. When Ran, I originally didn't want her to accompany you. I hope in the next life she won't bother you again. I thought about many ways for her to die. In the end, I still decided to let her taste the taste you tasted. This seawater is very cold, right? The feeling of being drowned is very terrifying, right? Your sister will soon taste all of this. Help! When Nua shouted for help, no longer playing the delicate, sickly princess she usually played. But Lu Yuan had already driven the speedboat to a deserted deep-sea area. Where would anyone save her? Lu Yuan pushed Nua onto the deck. When Ran, this is the first one. With a splash, Nua sank to the bottom of the sea. I watched her thrash a few times, sinking into the deep sea. These many days after my death, I smiled for the first time. Recently there have been many bizarre deaths. A driver drove his vehicle into the moat. The autopsy showed that he had consumed a large amount of alcohol. The police dealt with it as drunk driving. A construction worker suddenly fell from a high altitude on the construction site. The buckle of his safety rope was mysteriously detached. When Ran, this is the second and third one. The next two are your closest relatives, but I believe you won't blame me. Lu Yuan bought a lot of good dishes and came to my house. Lu Yuan, when Nua hasn't been home for 2 days. Have you contacted her? Mom and Dad, when Ran is dead. Why don't you care at all? If I remember correctly, from the time when Ran died until now, I haven't seen you shed a single tear. People can't be brought back to life. What's so sad about it? You really deserve to die. What did you say? I said we really deserve to die. Lu Yuan stared at them firmly, saying word by word. What are you going to do? My dad wanted to stand up and hit Lu Yuan, but found that he was weak all over and fell to the ground. Before Lu Yuan left, he sealed all the windows. Then he turned on the gas. Dying like this is really cheap for you. You didn't experience the pain before when Ran died. Lu Yuan sealed my parents' mouths with tape, closed the door, and left calmly. Ran, there's one last one left. I want him to experience the greatest pain. Lu Yuan returned to our home. He carefully read every word I had written, carefully smelled every piece of clothing I had worn. Then he took out a knife and one by one, picked out his fingernails. At one point, he was in so much pain that he fell to the ground and convulsed. After waking up, he continued with the next fingernail. Lu Yuan, covered in blood, set our home on fire. Everything about me in this world disappeared. With Lu Yuan's death, I was finally liberated. My soul finally floated away from him. Waiting for me was rebirth. Waiting for me was rebirth. To let me see the child I lost prematurely.